To celebrate 100,000 subscribers, I set off to do my very first mega campaign, 2,000 years of Paradox games. We did the first part, the CK3 part. You find the link to that in the description and comment section. And today we got the EU4 part. Once we get 10,000 likes, we'll do the Vicky 2 part with Hoi4 and Stellaris following afterwards. So at first glance, it might seem like the CK3 to EU4 conversion worked well, but not really. Look at this, boys. So we have the lands that we did have at the end of the CK3 campaign, but Jazeera, which is half of my country, is actually a vassal, not directly owned by me, and that is a really big problem unto itself. Leaving that aside, however, I have some questions here. First off, what is up with these cultures? Xliponian, Basramani, and Euxinian are what now? This was a Roman culture when I finished my campaign, but the only Roman cultures that I've got are in the Italian peninsula. Everywhere else, it's a different kind of Roman, apparently. Salinatorian. The same goes for Greek, by the way. We got Greek in the Balkans, but then we got Anatolian, Pontic, and brand new Seleucian. It's the same. A lot of cultures here. Turkish still is around, however. We have a few Turkish provinces ourselves, as is Romanian. We have a lot of brand new cultures in other places like Lipovan. Sorbian is considerably bigger, and we have Pomeranian as a part of the West Slavic group rather than the German group. The Germans have some new ones also with Alsatian, Flemish, and for some reason this area is Swabian rather than Rhenish. The French, honestly, nothing unusual in this area. Same goes for the British Isles. Maybe a bit more Scottish than the English would like in the north of England. And for some reason, we have East Anglian in Essex and Essexian in Sussex, as well as Cornwall. Highlander is the dominant culture in Ireland as well as Scotland, with the Nordic group having the addition of a ton of Sapmi land in the north and a lot more Finnish lands as well. Pretty standard in North Africa. Iberia is super mixed. We have Andalusian quite a little bit. Even in the northern parts here, it's Andalusian apparently. Slovak is a part of the West Slavic group, which is nice to see. The Cumans and the Pechenegs make their appearance. They did not get stomped out in this timeline, at least. The Altaic group is also a little bit less than in the base vanilla group. And that's about it for cultures. Religion-wise, obviously Orthodoxy is quite a bit more than the base game. And we have Sunni in the northern parts of Europe, with Suomensko as well right next to them. And Mahayanas, as well as Torumism. I don't even know what this is. What? -2 local unrest. Some Hindu randomly around here. Oh, actually more Torumism here. And we have Catholics here. Isn't this Jerusalem? Apparently this is Farama, which, yes, the guy is Jerusalem last name and the Welsh culture Catholic, and he's ruling this kingdom of Farama. This was Jerusalem when I finished my CK3 campaign, but whatever, doesn't matter. It's all gonna be Roman at some point. Am I right, boys? So the main goal of this playthrough, guys, the next 400 years that you're gonna see are gonna be me centralizing the empire. We're taking back all of the historical Roman lands, whilst at the same time playing tall. I had a ton of development in Constantinople, and look at this. They gave me 12 development. This feels like an insult. I don't even want to look at the dev map mode. This is so bad. My best dev is 12. Literally 12 is my highest dev in the whole empire. Bruh, I need to dev up this land because right now it's really bad. 4 development, 3 development. I might seem like I'm big, but I'm not that strong. I only have 1,400 development, and the big problem is that there's so many different cultures and I can only have 2 accepted cultures. So after I accept 2 cultures, I have to culturally convert everybody else to the main Roman culture. So that's another thing on this list. Every single province is going to be Roman by the end of this playthrough. I really like that there's a random Norman culture province in the middle of Italy, far away from the rest of the French lands. That's because the count in charge of this province in CK3 was a Norman Norman account. And he probably just made the province Norman, I guess. We seem to have 4 provinces which are a separate culture, nowhere else to be found. I think I'm going to convert these provinces first to Roman, because I'm definitely not going to accept these boyos. We're also going to have to delete a lot of the forts. We have way too many forts right now, and we're going to have to properly assign our armies and make 2 or 3 major legions that we can use to conquer the lands that rightfully belong to us, of course. Set up apparently Ruthenia as our main rival. Ruthenia. Oh wow, they're pretty big actually. Holy snaps, they're a tsardom. They're the tsardom of Ruthenia, bro. Ho ho. Do they have any vassals? They have a couple of vassals, the White Rus and Galicia Volhynia apparently. Poland and France also are pretty massive, and they got all of the south part of France as their vassals, so they are definitely a major contender. The easiest part is going to be bringing back Iberia into the fold, since they basically are divided into 100 small individual kingdoms here, or better yet, duchies. Luckily for us, we can sell some crownlands and get 1,000 to help us out, as well as do the basic estates with the 1 mana privilege, advisor cost, and everything else. Dev this up a second time, and now we can seize crownlands. Our vassal is insanely disloyal, but I did this intentionally because I want this to be a little bit more of a challenge. If somebody else decides to support the independence of my vassal, I'm actually okay with that. Let's roleplay a little bit of Roman civil disaster, shall we? Oh, come on, I got Western tech units, really? That's so disappointing. I was hoping to have Eastern tech, but apparently I got the poo-poo units at the start. So I'm gonna have to be careful when I fight against the Muslim nations in this area especially. And seriously, I have a 2-1-3 as my heir, really now? I'm gonna disinherit this guy, screw that, man. I'm not gonna stick around with the 2-1-3. Anything is better than that. I'm gonna do a 69 head move, and I'm actually gonna destroy my tax dev everywhere, because this way it's gonna be easier to convert all of these provinces to Roman. Plus tax dev is absolute dog schnitzel, so I'm gonna have all of this tax dev replaced with production and manpower dev, since we are gonna be playing mostly toll here. Oh, Jazeera is actually improving relations with Ruthenia, my rival, so I expect to have a juicy war against both of them very soon. Also, I just noticed that I don't have everything as a full state. My favorite part's how the Papal States is reduced to 1 province in Corsica. Very short-lived, the Papal States for that matter. Oh, there you go, boys. 452, way better than the previous guy was. You guys are never gonna guess who the Emperor of the HRE is. Come on, let me hear it, boys. Write in the comment section who you think the Emperor is, and I'm gonna tell you in a few moments. Until that time, we're gonna have to get ready for a big-ass war against Carinthia, so let's bring our troops over by the border here. They are in the HRE, so they are protected by the Emperor, and they're also an elector in the HRE, which is run by the nation of Aachen. Aachen is the Emperor. A 1-province minor has taken over the entirety of the HRE, with Hesse being another one of the electors, East Franconia, Carinthia, Steiermark, Nordgau, Ostfalen, and Czaslav. Czaslav doesn't sound very German to me. Speaking of the electorship and everything, the annoying nation of Hesse actually has parts of Sardinia, so I am gonna have to go to war with Hesse also at some point. Alright, well, it's time to do our first of this session. Let's go, boyos, let's go. It essentially means we're at war with quite a few smaller, insignificant nations around, so it shouldn't be too hard. I'm not even gonna commit all of my armies to this war. And hold on a second, I just realized we're the Roman Empire. Why is there a Holy Roman Empire when we're still around? Excusez-moi? I think it's time that we start planning the downfall of this so-called Holy Roman Empire. What I'm gonna do right now is a 5-head move, and the reason why you should never have the Holy Roman Emperor as a 1-province minor, I'm enforcing religion on them, and because I enforce religion, they lose the emperorship. They have to be Catholic to be the emperor at the start, and this way the emperorship went down to Swabia now, Aachen just being a footnote in history and nothing else. Also gonna take everything that the nation of Carinthia has by the border with me. I don't care about the Germanic lands in Salzburg. I just want to connect my lands over here and get ready for the next couple of wars against these other OPMs. In the meanwhile, we are continuously converting everybody to the Roman culture, since on average it's about 29 diplo points to convert people. I'm gonna prioritize this in the early part of the campaign. Pagan influence. Are you kidding me? We can actually spawn in animism in certain provinces. provinces, and idea cost minus 10%. Hell yeah, I'm going for this. The Roman Revival project is also quite well off underway. We've gotten quite a big chunk of the Italian peninsula back to Roman, and are working around the entirety of the empire for that matter. I actually just noticed that Kitila, which is the Sunni Sami emirate, has a 666 leader. Such a waste of a great leader on a one province minor, isn't it? This campaign made me realize that no matter what the alternate reality, the French and the English are always gonna be at war with each other. Plus, the English are always gonna try and take over Ireland and Scotland for that matter. Well, nobody actually helped Jazeera to gain their independence, and I did integrate them, which means that we're now a full Roman Empire once more, not divided in two pieces. And since we have integrated Jazeera, we're gonna be exploiting the development here so that we can also turn these lands into Roman lands, of course. Poland still managed to get the Union over the Lithuanians, so no matter what universe, some things always stay the same. However, Ruthenia is definitely a wild card here. They're massive, and they got the White Rus, which has Smolensk as a vassal, as a PU, so essentially they occupy most of the Russian lands here, with the Sunni nations to the east that they are starting to conquer one by one. We've done a quick expedition in the north of Africa to conquer what's left of the tribes here and their allies, including Sevilla, and I think I'm gonna fully annex that. Whoa, what the schnapps? 55 aggressive expansion? Why? 30 development? 22 times this province alone was improved, and 7 times for this province. Wow. Okay, Sevilla literally just went crazy with developing its provinces. This one as well was developed 12 times, and this one 4 times. Okay, I'm gonna say I will take this land in the next war because I want to take a big chunk out of the Moroccans, and if I was gonna take all of that from Sevilla, I wouldn't be able to take what I want from the Moroccans, including the gold mine in Tafilal. This peace deal right here feels okay to me. Nobody in a coalition at all, and maybe we can even get a little bit of money. We can. Noise. Oh, I just realized I was gonna take these lands from Sevilla, and I forgot about that. Alright, well, you know, no problem. We'll take this in the next war against Sevilla. Everything is fine. I let the Iberian countries alone for quite a while so that whenever I do invade them, it's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge, and they have actually developed quite a bit, the lands. Sevilla, the first one with the 30 dev in Sevilla itself, but we also have Burgos for Portugal that was developed another 12 times. Madrid was developed 9 times, and so on. La Coruna as well was developed 10 times, and there's a recurrent theme with this around Europe. Julish also has 20 times been developed. Same goes for London. Meanwhile, I'm not expanding too much. I'm trying to keep it all in the family, let's say. I'm trying to give people a little bit of time to develop their nations before I start conquering them. I also am focusing on converting everything to Roman, and it's going pretty well. We pretty much have succeeded with that, since it essentially only costs us 18 to 25 diplo points to convert provinces in general, because most of them are still 304 development. After we finish with that, we're gonna start developing ourselves everywhere. We have quantity economic ideas, almost finished getting economic fully unlocked. Also kind of weird that the last holdings of the Scots are in Wales, out of all places. Hey guys, can you find Lusatia? I mean, technically it should be in this area, right? But Lusatia is still around, just not here. It's in freaking Holland. It's Holland. Lusatia is Holland. What the schnapps is happening here? They still have all of their cores though in this area, so might be a little bit of a juicy vassal after I dismantle the HR. So I was about to declare on the Papal States here and take back the last of the Italian lands that is not a part of our empire, but look at what I just noticed. The province of Corsica is Hellenic. I have no idea how this happened. Maybe through event, maybe they were Hellenic from before, but it's actually insane. And that's the only Hellenic province in the entire world. The most holiest of Catholic places is Hellenic. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Now that we've actually taken the province, I might just start a slow process of spreading Hellenism around the empire. Albeit, this is the only Hellenistic province, and the entirety of my empire is completely Orthodox now, so might take a little bit of time. I also like that now that we've taken Corsica, the name placement is absolutely beautiful, and because I let the various Iberian nations alive, they've been developing like crazy crazy. Almost every single province has been developed quite a little bit. And if you look at the whole world, you can see that Iberia is 100% way more developed than the rest of the world. But I've only been developing provinces that are Roman, and I still have not finished fully converting every province to Roman. I did give out the religious cultures privilege, which makes it cheaper to convert non-accepted cultures to my main culture. I would have liked to see Sunni Sweden, at least in the northern parts, would have been funny. Ruthenia and Zaporozhnia are essentially allies and have been allies from the start, plus the Commonwealth has expanded quite a bit, and they've taken more lands from the Germans and even from Hungary. In the east, Yugra is pretty big, but they're getting their asses kicked by Zetsu. Sirdaria is massive. Ming is as well, still intact, did not collapse yet. And we have the unique nation of Himalaya, which is a Nepali nation dominating over most of northern India. Meanwhile, we also have Nubia, but it's a Sunni Nubia, not a Coptic Nubia, with Ajuran and Mesopotamia ruling most of these lands here. Whilst Great Britain is kind of the only nation actually colonizing right now. Portugal was colonizing as well, but their process is a lot slower since Portugal almost lost its entire country to Galicia. They only have 5 provinces left, and I'm actually kind of sure that Galicia is going to fully annex them, in which case Portugal is going to move to the New World in the Caribbean. Austria has been reduced to a 1-province minor, completely surrounded by Bohemia, which owns most of Bavaria as well. It's a little bit of payback for what happened in our timeline, I guess. And we can start another war against the Iberian nations so we can get a little bit more chunk out of them. We're not fully annexing, of course, but we are maybe getting the coastline. I think that would look pretty nice, wouldn't it? Whoa, Galicia. Those are some pretty nice colonies you have over here. Be a shame if someone was to, say, take them from you. Oh, and like I said, taking the coastline is more than enough for now. I still want them to continue to develop these lands so that after I take them, I don't need to develop them myself. I just take the good rich lands directly. Plus, this way, I have the entire Mediterranean for myself, and it also means that I can go from North Africa to France without having to use my fleet to transport my troops between these two areas. One of the things I've noticed is that many players don't really understand what playing toll means in EU4. If you think that it simply means having a few provinces and developing those provinces, then you're wrong. That's not what it means. Playing toll means getting the most income and manpower out of your provinces, regardless if you have 5 or if you have 100 provinces or 1,000 provinces. And I'll give you very clear examples right now. So I have actually been playing toll in this campaign, did not expand too much, and in the past 100 years I've only basically taken the Spanish lands and nothing else. But my income went from -10 to 300 balance with 555 total income in just the last 100 years. And my manpower went from 120 to 1,000,000 manpower in that same exact amount of time. And that's because I've been investing my mana points in developing the province, and more importantly than that, I've been building the right buildings in the right provinces. What does this mean? Well, I've been building this production building, the workshop, in all of my stated provinces. That means all of these that you see blue right here are full states and have workshops. Well, most of them. You can see my states over here. The rest of these are actually trade companies, and because of these trade companies, I have 11 merchants, and I'm using these 11 merchants to funnel so much trade. And I also have almost 100% trade in Constantinople, making it a sort of an end trade node aside from my other 2 end trade nodes that I have here, and the rest that I'm funneling from the civilian area, which is essentially all the colonial money. But that being said, I've also managed to build universities in most of my stated provinces, and this gives me 20% dev cost reduction. I am in the process of building all of the training fields here. I have built most of the barracks, trade depots, but only in the provinces that actually give you an extra bit of bonus, so not every province. You can see only the provinces that already have high trade power are the ones that I'm building the depots in and the marketplaces. Otherwise, I would not bother wasting that building slot. Courthouses in every single province, that is the goal, because courthouses lowers the autonomy. It also lowers the governing costs, so that means it's 25% cheaper. And I do know some of you struggle with governing costs, so always build these in every province and upgrade them to town hall afterwards. Also been building building these soldiers' households in every province, that is grain, fish, livestock, wine, because as you can see here, it gives you 2 times more soldiers from building in these provinces. Similarly, build the manufactories in all the provinces that are high trade goods. So like for example, this one's giving me 1 ducat flat from building the manufactory there. Similarly, copper, glass, iron, sugar, and whatever else, salt also gives you a huge amount of income from building the manufactories in those provinces and not just randomly in every province. Because remember, the grain, fish, livestock, and wine, we want to build soldiers' households, not manufactories. The other 3 buildings here, I'm not building. I don't need them. If I was playing Prussia and I was struggling with governing capacity, I would build these in paper, glass, or gem provinces, but I'm not struggling, so in paper, glass, and gem, I'm still building manufactories. And through a combination of all of this, let me show you what this ends up being. As you can see, it only cost me 4 mana points to develop these provinces, and look at this, I'm getting 600 manpower from 4 mana points, and I have 496 now. Same goes for production, 4 mana points to develop this, and I get 0.06 production income and trade value 0.58. So there you go, we dev this up a little bit, and then after our overall income and manpower massively increases. Make sure that you also have prosperity in these provinces, encourage development. Essentially, it's all about stacking up all of the development. You can see them listed right over here, for example, in my situation. And despite having developed this 12 times, it still only cost us 12 mana to continue to develop it. It's insanely cheap. I also used this time to let the other world powers grow in size and to colonize the new world, so that once I switch to Vicky 2, I do have some nations in the new world and it's not just completely empty and colonizable land. I also started doing a little bit of colonization myself. We have Roman Columbia over here on both sides, but I'm not spending too much time with it. I might also get a few more provinces here. I'm in the process of getting this one here, for example. Most likely I will just take other nations' colonies towards the end of this campaign, maybe. Ruthenia still bestest of friends with Zaporozhye, and they're not killing off each other. Manchu formed, and Ming is massive still. Japan managed to expand a little bit as well. The top 10 great powers we got are me, followed by Ming, Great Britain, and the rest of the gang. And I had to stay Orthodox, even though I had the Hellenic province over here. The rebels got killed when I went in one of my wars, and I just gave up on the whole Hellenic idea. Feels bad. And even though I'm taking a sizable chunk out of the French, I'm actually keeping them alive because I want them to continue to colonize in the new world. They got the French Florida over here, as well as French Mexico, which is quite sizable, and I want to see this turn into either Mexico or United States. I think though that the Natchez Federation might actually become the US with a little bit of a push. You know what, let me actually send these guys some money. Let's send these boyos, say 1,400 ducats. Maybe they can push off the Portuguese afterwards, or if not, I'll send money to the Portuguese to push them over. I'm basically manipulating how things are going in my game, okay? I'm role-playing real-life US actually. Give both sides the money and let them kill each other whilst you're getting richer. Am I right? Am I right? Surprisingly, the French lands are actually less development than the Spanish lands were. Let me check this out. Yep, way less development. Also, because I'm getting a ton of money, I've actually upgraded all of my monuments to level 3, which means that I'm getting minus 20 advisor costs from this one, another minus 20 advisor costs from the one in Athens, and another minus 20 advisor costs from the one in Cairo. And if you're wondering how I'm getting this, in order to get the benefits from these monuments, you just need to accept the Egyptian culture, Greek culture, and whatever other culture that monument has as a prerequisite. In this case, it is Greek and Egyptian, or actually it's Levantine for the one in Cheops. And because of all of these, we're only paying very little for level 5 advisors. We're actually getting a 60% discount. It would be 80% discount, but we are a little bit over our governing capacity because we have been deving up the lands quite a little bit. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to build the courthouses, which is going to lower my overall governing capacity cost by a lot. Our truce is also over with Galicia, and we should be able to fully annex them, I think, in this war. Let's actually double check on that statement. Yep, 65 to fully annex Galicia. Absolutely amazing. And they're allied to Florida, which apparently is actually an independent nation. I thought it was a colonial nation belonging to France, but I was wrong. That also means I can fully annex Florida whilst I'm at this. Might as well, right? This way we get 5 provinces in North America, and as consequence we get a second colonial nation. Poor Galicians, they really stand stand no chance against us now. But I need the lands. I would not kill them if I didn't need the lands. I swear I wouldn't. It's a strategic Roman land, as everybody knows this. This common knowledge, man. So apparently Galicia also has a colony next to my colony, Galician Columbia and Roman Columbia. Wait a second, I just noticed something. Florida owns lands in Africa. What? Florida is a colonial power themselves, bro. Florida's got lands all over the place, actually. Now I feel bad for killing them off then. Do you know what? I'm gonna let them live in the province of Curacao. Alright, let's get their provinces in Florida proper. We'll let them keep the rest of the stuff, of course. We'll even let them keep the Bahamas so they got a nice vacation spot. Galicia, on the other hand, is gonna give me all of the lands that they actually have in Iberia. And let's core all of these bad boys up now. Not to fear, however, Galicia is still alive. They have the one province in the Galapagos. They have now the ability to directly own land in the New World as consequence. So you're welcome, Galicia. You're welcome. I did you a favor. Let's also start building a proper heavy ship fleet, because we're gonna have to go up against the British, and I cannot get the war score for getting these lands unless I actually get on the British mainland. Not to fear, however, I don't plan on completely wiping them out or anything of the sorts. I just want the lands on continental Europe, nothing else from the British Isles. Because I also want to have a challenge when I switch this save over to Victoria 2. I wish I could get the monuments in Victoria 2 though. All of these are actually amazing, man. The amount of benefits I'm getting from them. Actually, let me just use some manpower and finish this one as well. 100 governing capacity extra, which means I don't really have any more governing capacity issues now. So I'm only paying 10 ducats per level 5 advisor, or 5 ducats if he's got the 50% cheaper trait as well. And that onto itself is ridiculously insane. So cheap, and I'm getting so much mana points out of them. Also, this guy's horrible. I'm gonna disinherit him. Oh my lord, thank god I saw him. Imagine if that dude actually became the new king. We are nearing the 1700s, and we just started building the Suez Canal. Should be finished by 1703 or earlier, depending on what we go for when we get Suez Canal events. And the world is a lot more centralized. We've been using the threaten war interaction to grab land around everywhere without having to go to war, because we can. And we're getting 1,200 ducats total income with 600 profit. Plus we have 2 million manpower and 800,000 troops in the field already. We basically have 40,000 units in each adjacent province to the Germanic threat, as I like to say. I've also been sending a lot of money to pretty much every country in the world. The one that's made the most out of that money has been the Natchez Federation, which has actually completely killed off the Portuguese colonies. I'm gonna send them some more money right now, actually, for that matter. Another 4,000 should help them out a little bit. And I've decided to abandon all of my colonies because, honestly, I don't need to have colonial nations, and I prefer these colonial nations to do their own thing. Go, my children, conquer the world in the name of Rome. Also gonna disband these troops here. I don't need anything in the New World. I might just make a new colony in Australia and send some of my prisoners, maybe. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, actually. Oh, hold up. Actually, Portugal's got a massive colony here. Portugal is essentially the south tip of Africa. Almost all of South America is split between the English and my Roman colony here. And I've also been sending a couple of ducats to Yucatan, which killed off the Galicians. Oh, they've got a second war, so I'm guessing they're gonna fully annex the Galicians after this. Suffice to say, considering everything here, the New World is predominantly English speaking, let's say. Meanwhile, in Europe, Scandinavia formed, and my god, they are absolutely amazing. They've actually been playing Toll a little bit. Ruthenia has not been playing Toll. I don't know what they've been doing. They've just chilled here, haven't had any wars for the past few years. Well, I think they had one war against the Commonwealth. Meanwhile, Zaporozhye, or Quons, has expanded like crazy, and oh my god, they're attacking Sardaria again, so they're gonna take even more lands. At one point, the Ottomans appeared in one province here, and they still have the core, but they got completely raffle stomped by Zaporozhye, who apparently is even killing off Zesiu, which is one of the biggest hordes around. I've given some donation funds to the Persians as well, and to the Nubians, as well as Hausaland, since I am investing for the future, and by future I mean the Vicky 2 save. And I was expecting this to happen. The United States formed from my former colony, as well as Colombia formed from my former colony. So let's send them both a couple thousand ducats so they have enough troops to conquer the rest of the New World. It's gonna be a big battle between the Natchez Federation and the newly founded United States. Because I'm just ridiculously overpowered, I kinda enjoy sending money around and making the AI fight each other and seeing what the outcome is. Is this what it feels like to be the US government? I see a massive injustice happening right now. The Commonwealth is attacking Bohemia and they don't have enough money to fund this expansion, so let's send them a little bit more cash. And whilst we're at it, let's also abuse our power and threaten war against the Ruthenians. They're more than likely to give us whatever we want. I've basically gotten like 20 provinces just from threatening war against my neighbors. And boys, we now have the counting house. So just wait, after we build all of the counting houses, we're gonna be ridiculously rich. I also want to answer a question that's been asked a lot in my comment section. How do you keep above 50 PP when you don't have any possible rivals? Well, you get 25 power projection from being the first great power, and you also get 25 from being a hegemon, and we are the full economic hegemon, so we are getting 50 from that alone. Plus we have age objectives fulfilled, which offers us an extra 9, so we got 59 power projection at all times, meaning we get the +1 mana continuously. Oh, you bastards, Natchez Federation, you're killing my baby! Oh no! I probably should have released them after they got a little bigger. This was kind of my fault, not gonna lie. And because I want this to be a fair match, I'm gonna take on the debt of Bohemia also. Give them a little bit of a chance to actually fight back. If you thought that developing for 4 mana points is amazing, just look at this here. We can develop for 3 mana points now, so we can just quickly go around everywhere, start developing like crazy. We're getting 3,000 ducats total income with a balance of 2.12, whilst we have 1.5 million troops in the field, and we have a reserve of 180,000 ducats, as well as 5.5 maximum million manpower, and we're just in 1783, boys. Meanwhile, the Germans got completely wrecked by the Commonwealth another time. The Netherlands actually had a massive amount of land. They were forced to release half of these nations here. France just got most of its provinces back now. That being said, Upper Lorraine seems to be doing pretty well. And Karnataka apparently almost finished unifying the south part of India. Surprisingly, Great Britain's colonies are still not independent, and they are not even close to 50% for that matter. So I might have to help them out with a little bit of an incentive. Let's say 5,000 each. Booyah shakadoo. Oh, hey, we got Cuba actually. This was a former colony of Portugal, I believe, and broke away. Florida, on the other hand, is everywhere in the world. They got islands in the Indonesian archipelago, small bits of Africa, surprisingly, they still hold on to, and the lands that I let them keep before. Plus, I think this is new. Not sure if they had this before, to be honest. I did take a few more provinces in Ghana, but I didn't try to take too much. I just wanted to get enough so I have a very nice border for the thumbnail mainly. And the most surprising of all things is the fact that Switzerland is still intact and in fact has exactly the Swiss borders. Plus, Austria still exists. They got fully annexed by the Commonwealth, but then they managed to break away again, and they hate us because we are a hegemon and we converted their culture. Well, that seems about right. We did convert everybody to Roman. Ah, beautiful Roman. Everyone is Roman except the boys in Athens and the ones in Cairo, plus some newly added provinces. I actually recently conquered these parts in 1773 apparently, so I haven't really had the time to convert them to Roman. Jesus, mother of God, what's happening in Australia? It looks like there's a massive border work here. It looks a little bit like the HRE actually. Development wise, I tried to get most of the Italian provinces to roughly around 30 all the way to 50 development in a few provinces here, whilst the rest of the empire I tried to get it around 21 development, which is a standard dev meta. Publica. Whenever I had extra points, I just used that as well. But the African part, I tried to keep it around 10 dev, simply because I was honestly too tired of clicking on the button so much, man. It's like half of the session was clicking the dev button. 10,000 likes and I'll release the Victoria 2 part of the mega campaign. And until that time, check this awesome video over here. And I want to give a very big thank you to all of my channel members, Patreon members, as well as my Twitch supporters. I really wouldn't be able to do this without all of your support.